Hey, Labor Day 2025. Very relaxed atmosphere. It's raining outside this afternoon, and I came across a coffee mug that made me change directions. And so we're going to start a series on murderers I have known. So I ran across the coffee cup of death. Now, bought this coffee cup on the same trip where we found the dead guy on the beach. See episode 1 if you haven't heard that story. Years later, I was using the coffee cup as a coffee cup instead of having it stashed up on top of my cabinets, and I was almost in a wreck, and in the process of turning very sharply to avoid the wreck, this guy went that way and broke. And so since I bought it at on the day of the suicide, and I nearly killed myself on the day that the mug got broken, I call it the coffee cup of death. Anyway, so years and years ago, late 70s, maybe 80, possibly, no later than 81. I was at West Huntsville Baptist Church. It was my home church. And we met this girl named Eileen, sweetest girl you ever want to meet. Just adorable. Everybody loved Eileen. She was great. She was, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years older than I was. But she became fast friends with everybody, and so one night we were having a church banquet or something, and Eileen and a friend of hers went with me and a friend of mine, so it was a double date. We had a great time. Anyway, that was very near the end of me being at West Huntsville, because shortly after that, I graduated and went off and did all the things. Didn't think about Eileen again. Well, on August 26th, 1993, I was watching the news, and there was this horrible, horrible clip. A very popular, well-loved local pastor named Jerry Simon had been murdered at Valley Fellowship Church. And there were these conflicting reports about this really bizarre, strange-looking woman running away from the scene. They didn't catch her. About a week later, in Decatur, this same woman went to a medical facility and shot this guy. Nobody knows why. She just shot this guy out in front of the medical facility. And then she barricaded herself inside the medical facility for 8 hours before finally surrendering to the police. Well, they got ballistic evidence and linked that gun to the Jerry Simon murder. So now they knew who did it. Well, her name was Eileen Janisic, and she had been married, so I didn't recognize the name, and she looked wild, so I didn't recognize her, but it later turns out it was her, the girl I'd gone on a double date with. So if you complain about your love life because you dated an axe murderer, I actually did. Anyway, the guy that got shot outside the clinic was fine. And she was convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison, in spite of the fact that her mental health was, shall we say, not good. Everybody agreed she had serious mental illness issues. The defense said that she was not aware of the rightness or wrongness of her actions. The prosecutor, shockingly enough, said yes, she had bad mental health issues, but they were not sufficient to keep her from being responsible for her actions. She'd been off into drugs and Satanism. She carried a satanic Bible with her, was reading the satanic Bible during the standoff with the police. I mean, just really whacked out stuff that you could never associate with that sweet little girl from, 10 years ago, 10 years before, I guess. Now, I don't know if the drugs caused the mental health issues or if the mental health issues caused the drugs. Don't know. Doesn't matter, because I did, in fact, date a murderer. We'll have a few more of these episodes to cover all the murderers I know. My family says I know way too many murderers. I say that's hardly my fault. I didn't kill anybody, so it's not my fault that I just knew the people who did. So we'll cover this in a few episodes, and I will see you next week.